Science has an answer for almost everything. The age of the universe, 13.8 billion years. Checked. The structure of human DNA, 3 billion base pairs. Checked. How black holes are formed. Checked. How light bends around gravity. Checked. But right now, sitting inside museums, locked in government laboratories, and stored in university vaults across the world, there are 7 objects that have completely and utterly defeated every single expert. Whoever studied them. No origin, no explanation, no material match anywhere on Earth. Some are thousands of years old. Some were found in places humans should never have reached, and some of them should not physically exist by any law of science we currently understand. These are not theories, not legends, not internet rumors. These are real, documented, officially recorded objects. And nobody, not one scientist, not one government, not one laboratory on this planet has a single solid answer for any of them. Let's start with number 7, and trust me, by the time we reach number 1, you will never look at human history the same way again. In 1901, a group of sponge divers off the Greek island of Antikythera pulled up something from a 2,000-year-old Roman shipwreck that made absolutely no sense. A lump of corroded bronze, roughly the size of a showbox. When archaeologists cleaned it up and examined it, they found something inside that stopped them cold. Gears, dozens of interlocking bronze gears, precision cut, perfectly assembled, forming a mechanical system of breathtaking complexity. This object, now called the Antikythera mechanism, dates to approximately 87 BC using advanced X-ray tomography in 2021. Researchers from University College London finally decoded its full function. It was a fully operational astronomical calculator. It could predict solar eclipses. It tracked the positions of all 5 planets known to ancient Greeks. It calculated the cycles of the moon with extraordinary accuracy. It even had a dial to track the ancient Olympic Games, the engineering precision required to build. This device was not seen again in human history for over 1,400 years, not until the mechanical clocks of 14th century Europe. Think about what that means. Someone in 87 BC built technology that humanity would not rediscover for 14 centuries. Who built it? We don't know. No other device remotely like it has ever been found from that era. No blueprints, no workshop, no tools that could have made it. Scientists still don't fully understand how ancient craftsmen achieved this level of miniaturized gear precision without modern instruments. It appeared from nowhere and then vanished from history completely. If that wasn't surprising enough, our next object is even older and even more impossible. In 1938, German archaeologist Wilhelm Knig was sorting through artifacts in the National Museum of Iraq in Baghdad. He picked up a small clay jar, about 14 centimeters tall, that had been found near the village of Kujit Rabu, dating to somewhere between 50 BC and 24 AD. Inside the jar was a copper cylinder. Inside the copper cylinder, an iron rod. The top was sealed with asphalt. Knig immediately recognized what he was looking at. It was a battery. When modern scientists replicated the design and filled it with an acidic liquid, grape juice, vinegar, lemon juice, it generated between 1.5 and 2 volts of electricity, consistently, reliably, every single time. This object, now known as the Baghdad battery, predates Alessandro Volta's invention of the electric battery in 1800 by over 2,000 years. And it gets stranger. Archaeologists found gold and silver objects in the same region showing signs of electroplating, a process that requires electricity to deposit a thin metal coating onto a surface. Someone was using electricity in ancient Mesopotamia. For what purpose, we genuinely do not know. There are no written records, no instructions, no explanation anywhere in ancient texts of what this technology was, who invented it, or why it disappeared. It just existed, and then it didn't. But wait, both of these objects at least come from civilizations we know existed. Our next object comes from somewhere that raises an entirely different set of questions. In 1898, during an excavation of the Diamond tomb in Saqqara, Egypt, a small wooden object was found and catalogued. It was labeled simply Wooden Bird Model, and for the next 71 years, it sat in a drawer in the Cairo Museum, completely ignored. Then in 1969, Dr. Khalil Messiha, an Egyptian physician and amateur archaeologist, was sorting through the museum's collection. When he picked it up and examined it closely, his hands went still. This was not a bird. The object had a vertical tail fin, something no bird in nature possesses. Its wings were flat on the bottom and curved on top, the exact aerodynamic profile of a modern aircraft wing, what engineers call an airfoil shape. It had no legs, no drawn features of a bird, no decoration. When aviation experts and aerodynamics engineers examined the Saqqara bird, they reached a startling conclusion. The design was aerodynamically functional, a scaled-up version of this object with a horizontal tailpiece that may have existed and been lost would generate genuine lift and be capable of gliding. Flight. The object dates to approximately 200 BC. The Wright brothers flew a Kitty Hawk in 1903 AD. That is a gap of 2,100 years. No one can explain exactly how ancient Egyptian craftsmen arrived at an aerodynamically correct wing profile to millennia before the science of aerodynamics existed. Was it coincidence? Was it artistic? Or was someone, somewhere, 2,000 years ago, experimenting with flight? We have never found an answer. Now let's move to an object that doesn't just challenge our timeline. It challenges our understanding of physics itself. Nobody knows what these are. Nobody. Between 5900 BC and 4000 BC, one of the oldest known civilizations on Earth flourished in ancient Mesopotamia, the Ubaid culture. In what is now southern Iraq, they built temples, developed agriculture, created some of the earliest known urban settlements in human history, and they left behind something that has disturbed archaeologists for over a century: figurines. Dozens of them, found across multiple excavation sites, in graves, in temples, alongside everyday objects. But these figurines do not depict humans. They depict humanoid figures with elongated skulls, narrow lizard-like faces, almond-shaped eyes, and non-human body proportions. Some are shown in poses suggesting they held social status, seated on thrones, nursing infants. Some wear what appear to be helmets or headgear. These are not artistic exaggerations. The consistency across dozens of figurines found at completely separate sites, created over a period spanning nearly 2,000 years, suggests these were deliberate, intentional, and meaningful representations of something the Ubaid people believed was real. Were they gods, ancestors, a now extinct group of humans with genetic abnormalities, or something else entirely? Scientists still don't fully understand what culture or belief system produced these figures, or why they appear with such alarming consistency across an entire civilization. Spanning 2 millennia, they remain, officially, completely unexplained. Ask yourself, what were they looking at when they made these? But it gets even stranger, because our next object wasn't found in a museum or a tomb. It was found embedded inside solid rock, in a place it could not possibly have reached for decades. Miners in the Otastal region of South Africa have been digging up something extraordinary. From Precambrian mineral deposits, rock, formations that are officially dated at 3 billion years old, perfectly shaped metal spheres. Hundreds of them, each one ranging from 0.5 to 10 centimeters in diameter, made of a hard nickel-steel alloy. Some are solid, some have a spongy center surrounded by a harder shell. But here is the detail that stops every geologist. Cold, several of these spheres have 3 perfectly parallel grooves, running around their equators, precise, consistent, geometrically exact. The Klerksdorp spheres are harder than steel. They are found exclusively in pyrophyllite deposits, an extremely soft mineral that could not have produced them through any known natural geological process. The curator of the Klerksdorp Museum, Rolf Marx, formally stated in writing that the spheres are so well balanced they exceed the precision of modern aerospace manufacturing, and that he knew of no natural process capable of creating them. 3 billion years ago, the Earth had no complex life, no multicellular organisms, no civilization, nothing that modern science considers capable of manufacturing anything. and yet, perfectly balanced, perfectly grooved, harder than anything that should naturally form in soft mineral deposits. No one can explain exactly how these objects were formed, why they appear only in this specific region, or why their geometry appears deliberate. They sit in a museum in South Africa, unexplained. Official, real. Now we have reached the top two, and I want you to understand, everything up to this point has been strange. What comes next is in a completely different category. A 600-year-old book written in a language that does not exist in 1912. A Polish book dealer named Wilfred Voynich purchased a manuscript from a Jesuit college in Italy. It was old. Carbon dating later confirmed it was created between 1404 and 1438 AD. He opened it point to furrow pages, fully illustrated, detailed drawings of unknown plants, astronomical diagrams, human figures bathing in strange green pools, elaborate cosmological charts. And every single word, written in a fluid, confident, consistent script, in a language that does not exist anywhere on Earth. Not a cipher of any known language, not a code, not a substitution of any alphabet ever identified. The Voynich manuscript has been studied by the greatest codebreakers in human history. During World War II, the same cryptographers who cracked Nazi Enigma codes could not decode it. The NSA formally studied it. Academic institutions across the world have published hundreds of papers on it. In 2019, a Bristol University researcher claimed to have partially decoded it as Proto-Romance language. The academic community rejected the conclusion within weeks. In 2022, a cluster of AI researchers trained neural networks on the manuscript to find linguistic patterns. The AI identified structural similarities to natural human language, confirming it was not random. But it could not identify the language. It is definitely a real language, written by a real person, with real meaning. And in over 600 years, not a single word has been definitively translated. Who wrote it? What does it say? Why does it contain illustrations of plants that do not match any known species on Earth? We do not know. We have never known. And right now, sitting in the Voynich Rare Book Library at Yale University, it is still waiting. Which brings us to number 1, the object that, of everything on this list, has produced the most scientific debate, the most government attention, and the least satisfying answers. In the Ica Desert of Peru, near a region called Auquicage, local farmers began finding carved stones, thousands of them, buried in the desert floor. The stones date to the Ica culture, a pre-Inca civilization that flourished roughly 500 to 1500. There are now over 50,000 documented Ica stones in existence. And what is carved on them has divided the scientific community. For 50 years, some show humans performing open heart surgery with anatomically accurate illustrations of the human chest cavity, surgical tools, and what appears to be blood transfusion equipment. The first recorded open heart surgery in modern medicine was performed in 1893. Some show humans alongside dinosaurs, specifically creatures matching the anatomical profiles of Triceratops, Brontosaurus, and Pterodactyls. Dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago. The Ica culture ended 500 years ago. Some show a map of a continental landmass in the Pacific Ocean, a continent that does not currently exist, but bears resemblance to theoretical models of land that may have existed during the last ice age, when sea levels were dramatically lower. Mainstream archaeology labels them as fakes, created by local villagers to sell to tourists in the 20th century. But forensic analysis of the stone's oxidation layers, the natural patina that forms on rock over centuries, confirmed that thousands of the stones are genuinely ancient. The patina on carved surfaces matches the age of the stone itself. Someone carved surgery guides, dinosaurs, and lost continents onto desert rocks between 500 and 1,500 years ago. No one can explain exactly where this knowledge came from, or how. What does it mean? 7 objects, 7 official mysteries, 7 things that should not exist, and yet do. An ancient computer built before Rome fell, a battery predating Edison by 2 millennia, an aerodynamic aircraft model from a civilization that supposedly never flew, lizard people figurines from humanity's oldest cities, metal spheres in rock 3 billion years old, a book written in a language nobody speaks, and stones carved with knowledge that shouldn't have existed for another 1,000 years. Here's the question I keep returning to, and I want you to sit with it honestly, that we assume that human civilization moves in one direction. Forward, progress, building on what came before, getting smarter, more advanced, more capable with every passing century. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if knowledge was discovered, lost, rediscovered, and lost again, in cycles we don't fully understand? What if there were people, somewhere, sometime, who figured things out that we are only now catching up to? We are not even 200 years into the age of modern science. We have been doing serious archaeology for barely 150 years. We have mapped less than 25% of our own planet's ocean floor. That the honest truth is this: we are not at the end of human knowledge. We are somewhere near the beginning, and these 7 objects are not anomalies. They are not embarrassments to be explained away. They are invitations to stay curious, to keep digging, to resist the comfortable certainty that we already understand the full story of who we are and where we came from. Because if a showbox-sized bronze computer can sit at the bottom of the ocean for 2,000 years before we find it, what else is still down there?